Coulter, the best-selling author. You know, her latest book, In Trump We Trust. If you haven't read that, get the book, In Trump We Trust. And, of course, her column, you can go to AnnCoulter.com. You can get it there. Make sure you follow Ann Coulter on Twitter and Facebook and all that. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Mark Simone?
Good. You heard General Flynn has pled guilty.
Yes. You're lying to an FBI agent. I want to tell your listeners, if you have not been watching Rachel Maddow or paying attention to any of this Russia probe, you've missed nothing.
Well,
nothing has changed. I mean, this is as I suspected. They keep doing all of this. Oh, breaking news! It's everything we knew from the beginning. There's absolutely nothing new.
Oh, there is something new.
What?
ABC's Brian Ross now reporting, he's leaking the first one to repeal that what General Flynn will testify to, and looks like this is after the election, that he's going to testify that President Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Now, wouldn't that prove that there was no possible collusion if they were just beginning to try to make contact after the election?
That's an excellent point. Yes, lying to the FBI, ranks up there with murder or saying killing a girl as an illegal alien on a San Francisco pier. It's a very serious crime. No, I mean, it is a crime. This isn't the sort of thing that is... I mean, it depends what one is lying about.
We don't know if he lied. They had pretty much...
I think you're right.
They pretty much threatened to indict his kid.
Right, and we knew this from the beginning. This was what was going on was Trump had just been elected. It was during a transition. Of course, the transition government reaches out to other governments. The whole system is about to switch. That's the way our system of government works. And Obama had just thrown out all of those Russian spies out in Long Island.
Yeah.
Really had a fantastically good gig. They lived across the street from one of my friends out there. It's a fantastic neighborhood. And the Cold War was over, so they had nothing to do. They just got to live in a lovely town in Long Island, paid for by the Russian government because they'd never gotten around to shutting down this Cold War operation. So it wasn't a particularly big deal, but Flynn, as we all suspected from the beginning, the alleged lie to the FBI, it isn't a lie, or it isn't a crime to lie to the vice president, but that's what Trump fired him for. It was portrayed as a lie, and as we all suspected, it wasn't. I mean, I would put it this way. I don't think it was an intentional lie. Why would he do that? It would be stupid. It is an interpretation, and that is he tells the Russian ambassador, don't overreact. At least that's what I'm hearing reported right now. And again, this is what he is admitting today for the plea deal. He says, look, don't overreact to this. And also, and this will probably help him with, he asked the Russian ambassador for Russia to either abstain or vote no on one of these UN resolutions condemning Israeli settlements.
Yeah.
And he told the FBI asked, did you talk to the Russians during the transition period, or did you encourage them not to take action or something like that? He said something like, don't overreact to this, new administration coming in. That's being portrayed as a lie. But over all of this, the most important thing I want all of your listeners to remember as they hear liberals acting as if this is a crime as great as murdering an American girl on a San Francisco pier after having been deported 5 times, is that back in the 80s, right before Ronald Reagan's reelection, Senator Teddy Kennedy wrote a secret letter to both the head of the Soviet Union, and this was the Soviet Union, the one that was shooting down American planes, sending scientists off to the gulag, starving people, invading countries, taking over, country after country. This was, and I might add, the Soviet Union of the show trials, which liberals were also down with. It wasn't today's Russia promoting Christianity and fighting the Islamic terror threat that is the only Russia that terrifies liberals. In 1983, Teddy Kennedy wrote a letter to Andropov and the head of the KGB, proposing to work with them to come to the U.S. to fight Ronald Reagan and defeat his dangerous militaristic policies.
Yeah, that's
he was
right.
going to set up interviews. He specifically said he would set up interviews with Barbara Walters and Walter Cronkite. He's a United States senator working with an actual enemy, which Russia is not today. In fact, I would prefer to be allies with Russia than with Germany and most of Western Europe these days. They have totally switched sides on what the current threat is. This is a United States senator secretly conspiring with the head of the KGB, when it existed, the actual KGB, and Andropov to try to take down an American president. Was there ever a prosecution, a fine, or even an investigation, Mark Simone? No, there was not.
Hey, Ann Coulter, let's switch subjects for a minute. Do I remember you being on with Matt Lauer, and he was going after you, beating you up because you weren't nice to women or something?
You're right. That was the last time he'd ever have me on. I used to go on.
But it was your treatment of women.
Yes,
Couldn't.
the Jersey Girls. Yes, it was mean. I was mean.
To women.
Yes. Yes, those were in the halcyon days when liberals were willing to argue with me. They are no longer willing to argue with me. So for my next book, that was over the Jersey Girls. For my next book, they did a really nasty thing, the Today Show. They pretended to book me. They shadow booked me. And I'm from various pieces of evidence. It was clear that they never intended to have me on. When you have a book come out, you have one big early interview. So it's Good Morning America or Today Show, or at least it used to be until until they completely shut it down. And so you can't do anything else. So the night before they canceled the interview. And it was always, and they wouldn't rebook. They said, "Oh no, we have a very packed schedule." So in my slot, they had a dancing bear. It was something very, very important they had to have. And then lied about it, wouldn't rebook. It was just to screw me over and throw off my interviews. Drudge threw it up as a headline, so they did eventually interview me later that week, claiming, interestingly, that that we have a busy news schedule, and we had to interview Putin that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's a 3-hour show. There was also a dancing bear that day.
Yeah. Do you remember just a year ago, all last summer, you'd see Charlie Rose and Matt Lauer and all these people go after Mike Pence for his attacking him for the way he treats women, the stance on women.
Maybe, yes, maybe more people should observe the Christian behavior toward women, which is to quite honor them. The other thing I've noticed is these, I knew it at the time, but during the Monica Lewinsky scandal, you could really tell what kind of man you were dealing with how angry they were that anyone would dare go after Bill Clinton for his treatment of women. Yeah,
now, what do you think Bill Clinton thinks when he reads these Matt Lauer stories?
Man, I got away with murder.
So it is a mess. So what about the tax plan? Well, good thing about this tax plan is if it doesn't pass...
What has happened? Did it pass? I woke up and it's all about Mike Flynn.
Yeah, well, no, it didn't pass yet. But the good thing about this tax plan, if it doesn't pass, it's not that great, so who cares?
Well, I just wish, I wish Trump had not started with taxes. That's not really his base. His base doesn't have jobs. We wanted a president that would finally, after 50 years, concentrate on the needs of the working class. This isn't going to help you or me, but there are fellow Americans, and they've really been suffering. Now, he has done some great things. I must say, Wilbur Ross, my favorite cabinet secretary, when they were over in China, whoa, they got a fantastic deal. Thank you, Wilbur Ross. The Chinese have agreed to invest something like $250 billion in the United States. They will be investing money in West Virginia and Alaska, among other states, but those are the two big ones. Greater than, in West Virginia's case, West Virginia's entire gross domestic product. Now ask me if the New York Times has mentioned this.
Yeah. That's
no,
from
they have not.
that's from a month ago. It still hasn't made breaking news on MSNBC yet.
It's huge. That's fantastic. But we do want a wall. We do want to deport illegals, and we want that immigration moratorium. I wish we would save the tax cuts for second-term stuff when more people have jobs so that they need to pay taxes. But having said that, I actually, the only two things I want from tax reform are an end to, sorry, New York, state and local tax deductions, and the end of the hedge fund managers loophole.
Yeah.
Again, sorry, New York listeners. But the reason for that is even for those of you paying the high taxes of New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, you need to put pressure on your own state governments. And right now, the pain of high state taxes is being cushioned by the deduction in your federal taxes. No, I want to hold these left-wing blue state governors accountable, and this is the way to do it. I mean, you'll remember, why was Ray Davis recalled in California? Because he imposed a car tax worth about $30, and all the young kids at the time, he could have destroyed the entire state, but $30 car tax? Recall the governor.
I hate to say it, we're out of time, but everybody should get Ann Coulter's book, In Trump We Trust. Excellent book. And follow her on Twitter. Make sure you're following Ann Coulter on Twitter and Facebook, and you get her column. You go to AnnCoulter.com. And Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
Take care.